Hi, this is Dr. Toby, your host on health and wellness. Thank you for joining us on our show today. We have a special guest, two guests, a man and his wife, Dr. and Mrs. Mobit. Dr. Mobit is a radiation oncology technician. He works in the physicist department in the University of Mississippi Medical Center, trained in Cambridge, trained in Canada, and now working in University of Mississippi. Started the first radiation oncology center in the country of Cameroon. His wife is a teacher in the biological sciences, and she has molded many people in the medical sciences. She's also obtaining her doctorate in the next few years in education. This is an awesome couple. They are parents of 3 children. They are Christians. They are scientists. They are physicians in paramedical fields, and they are working hard to establish the kingdom of God and the glory of God in the medical community. We are delighted to have Dr. and Mrs. Mobit with us today. Look forward to hearing from them. Join us. Jesus is Lord. Hi, this is Dr. Toby, your host on Health and Wellness. Thank you for joining us. We have a delightsome couple here with us, Dr. Paul and Edith Mobit. Dr. Paul is a radiation physicist, and his wife is a teacher in the sciences, and she's going to explain a bit of what she does as well. But this program is designed to help you stay well, and we try to bring different spheres of the medical field to educate and enlighten. And this couple have done that for years. So we're honored, we're delighted to have Dr. Paul Mobit. You're welcome on the show, sir.
Thank you.
And Miss Edith Mobit, who's also working on her doctorate as well. And what a delightsome couple. They immigrated from Cameroon. That's why they have this lovely outfit. And they've been working in the United States, Canada, England for years. They're going to tell you their background. But I want you to stay tuned because they have a story, they have a passion, and they have a compelling literature that I think will help motivate you towards your dream. Many of you want to become scientists, medical doctors, physicists, teachers, nurses, and I'm trying to show you here people who've taken that gauntlet and run with it, and this couple have run with it. They're not just scientists, they're parents of 3 lovely kids, they're children, they're Christians, and they're servants in the house of the Lord. So let's start with you as a couple. Where did both of you meet? I mean, I know you've been married at least 20 years. I could be wrong.
No, you're right. More than that.
Okay.
About 23 years.
23 years.
Yes.
I guess based on your son's age, but yeah,
Yeah.
23 years. Wow. So where did both of you meet?
Well, actually, we grew up in neighboring villages in Cameroon, in
Okay.
the Meta tribe, and so we went to different primary school, but they were neighbors, not more than 2 miles apart.
So most of my viewers have no idea where Cameroon is. So
Yes.
you got to kind of explain to them where this country Cameroon is, and your village. Was it the northern part, the southern part? What part of Cameroon?
Actually, Cameroon is located on the entire eastern border of Nigeria is Cameroon. And so we are actually from the northwest region of Cameroon.
Okay.
And very, very interestingly, the part of Cameroon that we come from used to be governed as part of Nigeria at some
Okay.
point before we had a referendum, and then we joined the other part of Cameroon.
wow.
The other part of Cameroon, yeah. So we are from the northwestern part of Cameroon, and the older folks, people that are about 60, 70 years, actually made from Nigeria, may actually remember seeing these.
Clothes.
Seeing this clothes in the Federal Assembly in Nigeria.
Wow.
Because the politicians from our part of Cameroon used to wear
We
this.
used to wear that. Wow.
Yes.
So tell us a bit about, you were high school sweethearts. Was that how it happened?
Not really. As I said, we've known each other for quite a while, but we become what I would say a couple almost 29 years ago.
Okay.
But we've been married 23 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so we've been
Well, we
together
grew
for.
up seeing each other. We grew up having activities with each other, like in the summer where we used to have summer activities and admiring each other. He
Oh,
was
wow.
so intelligent.
Okay.
And I just leading in all the
Subjects.
national exams and
Oh,
subjects
wow.
and always getting all the prizes. And I was just like, oh my goodness, I just wish one day I will have this guy.
I didn't know that.
So tell us, how did you guys move from Cameroon to the USA? Give us because I know as an individual, I know you told me there was England, and there was Canada, and then there was the
Yes.
US. So give us a little
Yeah.
background to making Mississippi.
Yeah, that's very interesting. For me, I left Cameroon actually quite young. When I say young, I left Cameroon just after high school.
Wow.
I was lucky to have a government scholarship to study in Britain. So I left Cameroon in 1989 and went to Britain, studied in Britain. And then,
What university in Britain?
well, I went to the University of Kiel, and then University of Birmingham,
Okay.
and then the Institute of Cancer Research, which is part of the University of London.
Okay.
So that's where I did my PhD in medical physics, yeah, which we'll talk about later. But that's how then I moved to Canada to do a residency program in medical physics. And then she then joined me in Canada.
Oh, wow.
And then from Canada, we moved to Michigan, from Michigan down to Mississippi.
That is almost, I mean, at least 5 cities. I mean,
Yes,
for example,
yes.
Kiel, Birmingham, London.
Yes.
Where were
Cal-
you?
in Calgary.
Calgary in
Yes,
Canada.
Yes.
And then Michigan, and then Jackson.
Actually, we lived for 1 year in Windsor as well, Windsor, Canada.
Wow.
And then,
Wow,
yeah,
wow.
so we've moved around.
So, well, thank God for transition.
Yes, yes.
Thank God for transition. And all that transition, obviously, the children came in the last 20 years, and they've become adults. They're high school students or college undergrads. What do you think of the transition from Africa to Europe to the Americas? Do you think there's a cultural difference? Do you think there's a maybe spiritual difference? Both of you can answer, because I don't know if you've lived in America, you lived in Africa, so you can tell us what you think in America was different from Cameroon growing up.
Absolutely.
Culturally, spiritually, in the family and the example and all that.
Yes. Well, I'll let my wife answer, but I will chip in a little bit as well. I would say for me, when I moved from Cameroon, I was actually quite religious in Cameroon. And then I moved to the UK, and maybe I would say I drifted a little bit away, simply because when I went to the UK, I faced a number of challenges, and so I kind of drifted away from the church. Went to church occasionally, but I mean, for me, the shocking thing was when I left Kiel and went to London, where you have more blacks at the time. This is early 1990s. That the churches were kind of segregated, so you have the black, mostly Nigerian or Ghanaian churches,
In
and
London.
then yes, and then the white churches and stuff. So that was it really actually bothered me a little bit. So I kind of drifted away a little bit from church, and then really when we moved to Canada and my wife joined, that's when we really reintegrated into these things. So, but my wife, her story is a little bit different. I
But
guess.
in Kiel, you said you faced difficulties. I mean, do you want to elaborate, or was it academic difficulties? Was it financial difficulties? Because a lot of my viewers don't realize that being a foreigner, or in the Bible uses the word a stranger. It takes a lot of getting used to in a foreign culture.
Absolutely no. My challenges were not academic at all. I
Okay.
did actually quite well. That's why I'm in the field that I am today. Some of them were just financial, and also sometimes a little bit isolated as well.
Right.
There were a few African there, but not many. It was a different culture from where I grew up in Cameroon. But the challenge is financial. I was on a scholarship, but the government might delay paying the money for
Right.
6 months, and so so it was challenging.
And there was a change in weather, obviously?
It was changing. Weather changing, even the people. I mean, the way you associate in
Right.
Cameroon was
The way you
different.
talk to people was
The way you
different,
talk to
right?
people. You have a friend, you think it's a friend, but actually it's different. When somebody invite you out, you expect them. They invite you, they have to pay. In Cameroon, you invite somebody, you have to pay. Then they invite you out, you go, you know you have to pay for
You have
yourself.
to pay for yourself.
Yeah. So I say, you have a party. Say, I have a party in my house, but they expect maybe to bring a bottle, so something like that. So it's a different, very, very
Right,
different. I would
right,
say, yes.
I studied in London as well.
Okay.
And I mean, you know, that famous phrase about the stiff upper lip.
Leave, yeah.
The British can be cursing you and their lip is
Yeah.
as straight as a fiddle. I mean, he can be insulting you and his face is like nonplussed, you know. Very no, there's a very flat affair.
Yes.
You know, unlike in Nigeria where there's a lot of emotion.
Yes,
Yes,
people
so
express
they
emotion
don't-
openly.
They
Yes.
don't express.
But actually, very interesting. I mean, when I was now in London at the Institute of Cancer Research, I used to share an office with one guy who is actually from an upper class British family. And when they invited me home, he was already married with children. So he invited me home for lunch. You know, when somebody in Cameroon or in Nigeria, somebody invite you home for lunch, for dinner, what do? You go there, you expect to eat. So when I went, there was some biscuits, there was some stuff. So I was now waiting for the real lunch to come. So now, the real lunch never came. And now it was time to go home. I said, so this guy invited me to his house for biscuits. I mean, I could buy this thing from Save a Lot or somewhere else. I mean, why invite me home
He
for
just
biscuit?
presumed you was upper scale so
Yeah.
he can afford a
So-
good meal.
So I mean, if I say I invite you to my house, I mean, I know I have to prepare some food for you, and
It's a cultural thing.
it's cultural.
So, madam, how did you find you moved from Cameroon to Canada.
Yes.
You never were in the UK.
No,
Okay.
I wasn't in the UK, but the first cultural shock that I had was the weather. I
Okay.
remember when my husband picked me up from the airport, when I went out, I suddenly rushed in. I'm
But
like,
yeah.
what's
Oh,
happening?
really?
Yeah, she
You
run
know,
back into the
I rushed back in. I'm like, no, what's happening? You
That
know,
was Calgary.
Calgary, yeah.
is so cold. There are days that you have like -20, and this is
Oh, wow.
this is centigrade.
Yeah.
You know, very very cold. That was the first shock that I had. So I had first of all to deal with the weather.
Wow.
Then secondly, habits. Certain habits were so shocking to me. The good habits and the bad habits. I never really used to see people smoke the way
They did.
they did. And back in Cameroon, we know when people smoke, they're prostitutes.
Right.
So I told my husband, I said, you guys have lots of prostitutes here. And my husband said,
Because they were females.
They were
smoking.
female smoking.
Female smoking.
Actually, they
It's
think
very
they told me
rare.
that they will never find husbands. That was,
Right.
oh, these women will never find husbands.
yes,
Why are they
because
smoking?
in Cameroon, when you see somebody smoking, a
A woman
woman
is
smoking,
smoking,
you
yeah.
know it's a
It's
prostitute.
a prostitute.
You know, and I'm like, I told my husband, I said, you guys have all these prostitutes here? And my husband said, no, they are not. Some of them are even
Doctors,
Professors.
doctors,
yes,
professionals.
yes.
And I'm like, and they're smoking? Who will get married to them?
So the women said, no, they will never find. That was, she
Yes,
was very
yes.
So did
adamant
the
that they will
kids
never.
come in Canada or in America?
Our first son came in
Canada.
Canada.
Okay.
Yes, our
Okay.
first son.
Calgary.
Yes,
okay.
then another shock that I had, which was a good one, was, you know, Canadians are very nice. They will open the door for you
Okay.
to you know, and wait for you to go through. And I told my husband, like, there are lots of men here who are interested in me.
Oh, really?
And my husband's like, why? I said, this man, I said, all of them,
Open
when
the
they
door.
see me coming, they will run around and they will
Open
hold the door for me.
to get in.
Not knowing that's a normal.
Yeah.
It's a normal, you know, something like that in Cameroon, you know, there will be a catch.
There
to
will be a
that.
catch.
Yes.
So it's important to get culturally oriented when you come to a new
Of course.
environment. And I think
Yes.
it's a big lesson for foreigners because it's a lot of people don't get acquainted or assimilated into the culture. And because of that, they fall apart, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
really.
And I think the people who are very successful, who move, let's say, from Africa, for instance, to the US or Canada, the ones that are more open, that are culturally assimilated. I don't mean that you forget about your culture,
Culture, right.
but who understand the system do grow well in their families and financial and otherwise. But when you go and become not, you don't understand the culture, you can be.
So
Yeah.
obviously you both speak the local Cameroonian.
The Meta tribe.
yes.
Yes.
It's called language is called
Meta.
Meta.
Meta,
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
it's called Meta.
And you both came from the same tribe.
From
Yes.
the same
Okay.
tribe, we speak our language. Even
All
at
right.
home, we
Yes.
speak our language.
What was the background of your families? Because I'm trying to put here, a lot of people want to become physicists, teachers, but they feel my dad can't afford it. Maybe you can show them, maybe you didn't have a dad who was maybe highly educated, but you still became a professional.
I think,
So I was just trying to find out what your
I
parents'
think Paul
background.
would be a very good example to talk about
Okay.
this.
Yeah,
Because,
I mean my father, who is of late now, was a very very wise man, I would say, but he was not. I mean, he didn't do physics, of course. But my older brother actually went to school and actually is a physics teacher even today.
Oh, wow.
And so I got to learn physics from him. So that's part of the this thing. But my parents, I mean, they were not educated at all. My mom, my dad. But I worked hard in school. And encouraged by my parents, but also my brothers and other family members who were uncles. Encouragement. Yeah.
Did you read that book, Nelcon?
Of course,
Okay.
yeah. I think you can't do physics in Nigeria or
Without Nelcon.
without Nelcon. And,
Nelcon was the Bible.
yes.
Then later on, there was, I think, OKK or something. That came
I-
much later. Though.
Yeah, I think that came. Yeah, when I went for me, it was
Yeah.
Nelcon.
But Nelcon was so that was the book you read.
Yeah, that was
Wow,
the book. Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
To get a scholarship in those days was a big deal. So
Well,
yeah,
yes,
that's
it
what
was,
I
yeah.
told you.
Yeah.
I said he was so great. Like, his name was the talk of the town
Wow.
in the schools and everywhere. So it's like,
and
Yeah.
your mom, was she a professional?
No, my
No.
mom is a farmer. I mean, my
Oh,
dad
wow.
really. My dad had something like maybe a standard 2 education. My mom
Wow.
had 0. I mean, with time she can recognize her
Of
name and
course.
stuff, but really not.
but
not
one
anything.
thing though, one thing that happened with Paul is that although the father was not educated, the father was so strong
On
about
education.
yes
Yeah.
about,
Wow.
on education.
Yes, yes.
Very, very strong. Like, there are times that was very supportive.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Very, very. Actually,
And villagers were laughing at him like,
Yes,
you
okay.
suffering, you don't have much. Why are you spending all your
All
the
your
money
money
on your education,
on
especially
the-
our girl,
and
my
on
older brother,
educating your
sisters.
children,
Wow.
especially the
Oh,
girls.
even your sisters went to
Yeah,
Yes.
they went to school.
high
yes.
school
High school,
and
yes.
college. Even.
and college.
Yes. So,
Wow.
yeah. And my father was just a village, and as my wife said, people used to laugh at him in the village because he would be the worst driver.
They will say, see someone who can never buy a bottle of drink to give
Yes.
somebody because he's spending all his money
On
on his
his
children.
children.
Yeah.
How many siblings were you growing up?
Actually, I come from a family of 9.
9. Wow.
Yes. So
Wow.
I'm in the middle.
Okay. And your parents, and how many siblings did you have?
I come from a family of 8.
8.
Yes,
Wow.
Yes,
Wow.
but my father was a school headmaster
Wow.
who ended up furthering his studies in the UK and becoming a cooperative manager
Okay.
at that time. Yeah, he's also of late.
Wow.
Yes, so
Did he come back to Cameroon? Or
he came back to Cameroon after his studies in the UK.
Okay.
Yes.
Because Cameroon is known as a French-speaking country, so
Yes.
obviously you guys were more in the English-speaking.
We
Yes.
come from the English-speaking
English-speaking
region.
part.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
as I indicated previously, that Cameroon,
Part
the
of
part of
Nigeria.
Cameroon, yes, was
Right.
governed as part of
So Amadou
of like-
Bello, they had
Yeah.
that Northern
Yeah,
Progressive Congress.
Yes.
You know.
And in the south, they had the Munas from the northwest region where we come, and the
Okay.
Ndele, who were actually in the Nigerian Assembly. In
Wow.
fact, Muna, who became the president of the National Assembly of Cameroon, was actually a federal minister in Nigeria.
In Nigeria.
Yes.
Wow. That's amazing. Now, so any of your siblings outside America, outside Cameroon right now, both of you, are they scattered all over the world, or are they all in Cameroon?
Both.
Okay.
Some I have a sibling in Ireland, but but most of
Okay.
them are in Cameroon.
So tell me what your sisters studied. Was it teaching, nursing, doctors?
One of them did uh, what I'll call laboratory
Okay,
sciences,
very
and
good.
actually she's
Wow.
still in that
She
profession
has a
today.
BSN in that
Yeah,
area.
yes.
Excellent.
Yeah, the other one did social work.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the other ones they're doing business and
Nice.
Don't
stuff.
forget
yeah.
about the physics.
Yeah, the-
High
and then
school physics teacher.
Physics,
right.
yes.
He must
Yeah.
be like a principal now.
Yeah,
Yes,
he's,
yeah,
yeah, he's a
he's-
discipline
he's-
master,
he's a-
which I thought it was moving from physics teacher to
What's discipline master?
a discipline
It's
master.
like an administrator in the disciplinary side.
Okay.
Yeah, so in a
Like a
Uh-huh.
principal who is, in Cameroon, they kind of divide like, this is an administrator, but their own side is just for discipline.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Yes,
Wow.
you make sure the kids are coming in school, they are well dressed and stuff.
Nice.
So you go into classes, yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah.
And I know you have siblings in Germany and
Yes, I have
wow.
siblings. I have 5 of them abroad: Canada, Germany, the UK, and Texas.
Interesting.
Yes.
So if you come to Cameroon, they speak officially, I don't know what the official language, but I think you guys had German influence, French influence, English influence. So there's a mixture of languages,
Well, we have two official
Mostly
languages.
English and French.
English and French.
Yes.
So if I come to Yaoundé, it's English, it's French.
Yeah, mostly
Douala.
It's mostly French, but now it's
But now
almost-
English is
Yes.
very common
It's very
because
common.
of the fact that people want to come to the United States, they
Yeah.
want to go to
Okay.
Canada. So many.
They have to learn.
Yes,
Yeah.
and also we have Pidgin English,
Okay.
and the one in Cameroon now is now mixed with some of the local languages and French.
Wow.
So it's a little bit different from the Pidgin English in Nigeria. But
Okay.
we understand Nigerian Pidgin and or even Ghanaian.
Wow.
Yes.
So your dad was a headmaster. Your mom was.
My mom,
She is still alive.
well,
thank
my
God.
mom is, yeah. My dad got married to my mom in the hospital when she was like a nursing assistant.
Wow.
At that time, my dad was a teacher. Got married to my mom,
Oh wow.
who was at that time a nursing assistant. But my dad stopped my mom from working,
Working
saying,
further.
"I want my wife to work from home."
Homemaker.
Yes, yes.
So what advice would you have for people in America watching my show who want to live and stay married 23 years? I mean, you guys have had a fruitful marriage, lovely children, great family, successful careers. Some of my viewers have not had that success. They are asking, where did I go wrong? Did I meet the wrong person? Did I make the wrong choice? Or how can I know who the right person is? So I want you both, from your male and female perspective, to give them that counsel. Because in America, 80% of marriages don't make it. And it's unfortunate that even in the church, this is very common. So I always try to find out, how can we learn from the Mobits in making a successful home and a successful marriage? Because it's not just being married 23 years, it's also raising children
yes,
who are
absolutely.
also successful.
And both of us are working.
Mhm.
Yes, I mean, from my perspective, there was a conscious effort when I got married. I was already in Canada. My wife joined me there. Was to be very, very open.
Okay.
Right? That's the first thing. You need to be open and don't try to limit. In my case, since I was already in Canada, when she came, not to try and limit her in any way. In fact, the first thing I did was, when she joined me in Canada, was I got with my colleagues and get them to mix with the wives of my colleagues, and actually even some university administrators that we know. Get her to mix with them, understand how the family, understand generally how the family works in Canada.
Right.
How women. So she was very, very, and so that actually helps. So, and I would say the next thing was not to try and limit each other.
Right.
I mean, within the confines of the marriage. Okay, my wife has to cook, or my wife has to clean, or my wife has to do this. Both of you have to do it. And so the open communication,
Right.
I think is very, very important. And for us as African, I mean, some of the ideas we have about husband and wife, we need to temper them a little
them.
bit more. Yes,
Okay.
yes. That's why I will say. from my
Liberty,
part, liberty.
pursuit of happiness.
Yes, yes.
What's the other one? Freedom. Or
Freedom, liberty, and pursuit of happiness.
So those, I think that is...
things that the African man doesn't always understand.
Yeah, yeah. So that's part of it. But I think really it takes two, as they say, it takes two to tango. So you have to understand. I mean, I'm not my wife. My wife is not me. So we are different. We see things differently. But I would say the key for us is I call my wife a pet name. When she's mad with me, it doesn't matter what I've done. When once I call her that pet name, I say gun, which is the tribe, in our tribe, gun means newly married wife or somebody who just,
Okay.
like you just got married. So when I call her gun, she knows she'll calm down a little bit, and then we can talk about it. And so just having something like that, something that maybe you call your wife or you do, and your wife know, okay, let's just take things down a little bit and then maybe talk about it later or something like that. I mean, it helps. So,
Well, thank you for that hint.
so
A pet name.
a pet name, yeah. So actually, sometimes people will be calling her gun that they don't even know. They hear me calling her gun, they don't even know what that means.
They all call me girl. All his friends, even to today, his
Yes.
friends in Canada and everywhere.
Yeah,
when
they
they
say
call
girl.
me,
Good.
yeah.
How about you? Any hints
Well,
on a
when
successful
we got
marriage at
married,
home?
my late father gave us like a poster that we put in our living room, and that poster said, "Begin everything with love, spice your love with compromise, and God will do the rest." And that one that says God will do the rest, for me, prayers.
Right.
Pray over everything. Pray over any tribulations.
Right.
You know, that's what worked. That's what is working. Another thing is communication. Communication is a problem that has really, it has brought so many problems into marital homes, and lack of communication. That's what I'm talking about. So it's good for couples to always communicate. When you are angry, communicate. Don't air out your grievances, because the other person may not know what. Yes. So then another thing is financial. I'll tell you a story. When we just got married, I know I'm married to this guy making all this money. Every time I ask something, I say he has no money. I'll be like, really? Really? How come you don't have money? You know what he did? He added me on his account.
Right.
On all the accounts,
From
everything.
yes, from the time that my husband added me on that account, I'm the one telling him we don't have money.
Yes.
I am the one telling him. I said, no, we can't do this. There's no money. You know.
So that's what you mean by openness.
That's what we talk
yeah,
about,
yeah.
openness and everything. So because this imagine before I didn't know, because I wasn't seeing.
Right.
But from the time he added me on all his accounts,
You
he
are-
himself started saying, I shouldn't have done this because you restricted us to.
You had inside knowledge.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes.
That's like
So
it's
we're
restricted.
delighted. The movie to be back here for the second part of this talk, of this interview. You don't want to miss it. Jesus is Lord. God bless you. Excellent.